Welcome to the Reality Revolution. This is the 30-day income doubling activation. By listening to this, you will multiply your current earnings within a month, doubling your income. The path to doubling your income over the next 30 days begins with a single decision, a powerful choice to step beyond the boundaries you have accepted until now. This activation is not about wishful thinking. It's about strategically rewiring your financial identity at a neurological level, creating tangible shifts in how you perceive, pursue, and command money in your life. I don't care what your situation is. Your income isn't fixed. It's responding moment by moment to the signals you broadcast through your actions, decisions, and the subtle language of your nervous system. Today, we're upgrading those signals to transmit at twice their current power. As we move through this activation, you will notice immediate changes in how opportunities appear, how confidently you name your value, and how naturally you begin embodying the financial expansion that's already in motion. This isn't like activations you've experienced before. I'm not going to ask you to close your eyes and drift off into some peaceful meditation. No! This activation works while you're moving, while you're active, while you're engaging with the world around you. Because that's how money comes to you, through action and engagement. The next 30 days are going to be a battleground for your financial future. But you're not fighting against something, you're fighting for something. You're fighting to become the version of yourself that commands twice the income you're making right now. This isn't about hoping or wishing. This is about progressive embodiment. Here's what the science tells us: that your brain doesn't know the difference between what's happening in your external environment and what's happening in your internal environment. When you repeatedly fire specific neural networks through focused attention, you physically change your brain. You literally become a different person on a cellular level. So these next 30 days, they're not just passing time. They are a deliberate neurobiological transformation. Some days will feel like they're flying by, and others will stretch out as your mind expands into new possibilities. But every single one of these days is rewiring your relationship with money from the inside out. Your brain has a reticular activating system, which is a filtering mechanism that determines what you notice and what you don't. Right now, we're going to program that filter to start recognizing income opportunities that have always been there, but that you've been trained to overlook. The moment you finish this activation, the clock starts ticking. 30 days. That's your timeline, not because I said so, but because the moment you make the decision that it's possible, your brain begins creating the neurochemistry of that new reality. So get ready. We're not playing small here. We're not aiming for incremental improvements. We're doubling down on who you really are, what you're really worth, and the income that reflects that truth. The version of you who has doubled their income is waiting at the end of these next 30 days. And we're going to go get them right now. Isn't it fascinating when you really think about it? How we've come to define ourselves by numbers. We have this curious habit of saying, I make $50,000 or I earn $10,000 a month, as if that numeric value somehow encompasses the entirety of who we are. But what if your income isn't actually about money at all? Your current financial situation, whatever it may be, is not a verdict. It's merely a starting point, a dock from which you're about to set sail. You see, we often mistake the harbor for the journey. Wake up to the possibility that your present income is simply feedback about how you're playing the game thus far. You have to understand your financial identity markers. These are the invisible signposts that indicate to the universe, and more importantly, to your own subconscious mind, exactly who you believe yourself to be in relation to money. These markers aren't hidden in some mystical realm. They're embedded in the language you use, the posture you adopt when discussing finances, even in how you handle the physical cash in your wallet. I want you to decide right now to recognize these markers when you speak about money. Do you constrict? Do your shoulders tighten? Does your voice shift into a different register? These are not random physical responses. They are the embodied patterns of your financial identity. And here's what's extraordinary. 30 days from now, yes, feel this reality. 30 days from now, you will be standing at your desk or perhaps making coffee in your kitchen when your phone chimes with a notification. And as you glance down, you will see a payment confirmation that makes your pupils dilate slightly. Your breathing will change, becoming deeper, more satisfied as you realize the amount is significantly larger than what you're accustomed to receiving. This is an activation. I am using advanced linguistic technologies, specific patterns of speech and frequencies to create changes in your consciousness. What is happening right now in your nervous system as you imagine that scene? Because whatever is happening is the beginning of a neurological pathway I am carving into your existence. Notice what's already shifting in your body as I speak about this. Some of you are feeling a subtle warmth spreading across your chest. Others are feeling a lightness in your shoulders that wasn't there 2 minutes ago. For others, it's a feeling of relief, of freedom. Feel the expansion beginning now. It starts not as a financial shift, but as a sensory one. The way your spine straightens just a fraction when you conceive of yourself as someone who commands twice your current income. The way your breathing deepens when you recognize the gap between your present and future financial self isn't a matter of luck or time, it's a matter of identity. In this fascinating game of human experience, we don't get what we want. We get who we are. And the incredible cosmic joke is that who we are is entirely up to us. Isn't that marvelous? The very identity you've been treating as solid and unchangeable is actually as fluid as water. If only you'll give yourself permission to flow. So let's play with these financial identity markers. Instead of saying, I want more money, try this on. I am someone who naturally attracts increasing financial abundance. Do you feel the difference? One is reaching outside yourself, while the other is recognizing what's already true about your nature. 30 days from now, you'll be having a conversation, perhaps with a colleague or client, and you'll hear yourself name a figure that previously would have made you anxious. But in that moment, it will feel completely natural, as though you're simply stating an obvious truth about your value. The words will flow with such easy confidence that the person across from you will simply nod in agreement. Notice right now how your chest expands with possibility when I describe this scene. That physical expansion is not coincidence. It's your body's wisdom recognizing truth before your mind can doubt it. I want you to understand something so important about this 30-day journey you're embarking upon. This journey is not about struggle or pushing against what is. This journey is about alignment. It's about you allowing yourself to step into the financial vortex that's already been created by your desires. The expanded financial version of you already exists in the vortex. All of the components that lead to your doubled income are already assembled there, swirling in perfect orchestration, waiting for you to align with that energy. There are specific moments within these 30 days when you will notice the universe opening doorways of opportunity. These moments aren't random. They're synchronized points of alignment between your energy and the expanded financial reality you're stepping into. Let's break down exactly how these pivot points will manifest over the next 30 days with tactical precision. On approximately the 7th day, you'll experience your first prosperity pivot point. You'll notice an unusual pattern or connection that others have missed. Maybe it's spotting that a client needs an additional service you could easily provide. Perhaps it's realizing that a skill you take for granted is actually highly valuable in another context. The key performance indicator is the aha moment coupled with immediate practical application. For those in a service-based business, this will likely involve discovering an upsell opportunity worth $500 or $1,500. For employees, this might manifest as identifying a problem no one else has solved, worth approximately 10 to 15% of your monthly income and value to your organization. Feel yourself right now on day 7, sitting at your desk in a conversation, when suddenly the energy shifts and clarity arrives, your posture straightens slightly, your eyes widen, and you feel that distinctive click of recognition in your solar plexus. That's your indicator that you've hit the first prosperity pivot point. This is your first massive opportunity. This is where 90% of people miss their chance because they're not paying attention. You need to commit right now to being obsessively aware on day 7. Maybe it's a conversation with a client where they mention a problem that you can solve. Don't just solve it. Package it as a premium service and charge 4 times what you think it's worth. Maybe it's a skill you could have applied in a completely different market for 10 times the value. Notice how the thought of this possibility creates a sensation in your body. Perhaps a quickening of energy in your chest or a slight change in your breathing. This bodily awareness is your portal to the prosperity pivot point. It's not about chasing a future outcome, but recognizing the signs that are present in your now experience. By day 15, you'll be operating at a completely different level. This is where the massive momentum kicks in. When you check your accounts, you won't see incremental growth. You'll see explosive increases because you're operating at 2 times the level you were before. Imagine the specific notifications on your banking app, that distinctive chime that normally signals a deposit. But on day 15, when you hear it and check your phone, you see an extra digit. Your body instantly responds. Your posture straightens, your breathing deepens, and a smile forms automatically. This response isn't about greed or attachment to outcome. It's the physical recognition of alignment with your true abundant nature. The money itself is merely a symbol of energy flowing without the blockage of limiting thought patterns that existed in previous present moments. On day 15, you'll notice something fascinating. The resistance that normally accompanies new financial behaviors will have diminished by approximately 60%. This is when you'll experience your second prosperity pivot point. And this pivot relates to the speed of implementation. Tasks that previously took you 3 to 4 hours to complete will now take 70 to 90 minutes. Decisions about money that used to require days of consideration will now resolve in minutes. Feel yourself again on day 15, moving through your day with unusual momentum. For entrepreneurs, this pivot point often manifests as closing deals 30 to 40% faster than your norm. For employees, it frequently appears as completing high-value tasks in significantly less time, creating space for additional income-generating opportunities. The final and most powerful pivot point occurs on day 30. This is when your new financial identity fully integrates with your human experience. The expanded version of you that exists in the vortex merges completely with your physical expression. By this point, you'll notice that conversations about money have completely different energy. When discussing rates, fees, salary, or investments, you'll speak from a place of calm certainty. Your voice will have a specific resonance that others respond to with respect and agreement. Feel yourself on day 30, perhaps standing in your home or office looking at your financial accounts. The numbers you see represent a doubling of your previous income. Notice the precise feeling of your feet firmly planted on the ground. Your breathing steady and confident. Your vision clear and focused. For service providers, this often manifests as comfortably stating fees that are 85 to 100% higher than your previous rates. For employees, this frequently appears as confidently presenting accomplishments that justify a 20 to 50% increase in compensation. Day 30 is when everything comes together in a massive way. This is the version of you that has doubled your income, fully emerging. When you speak about money, your voice carries a different energy, powerful, certain, commanding. You're not asking for money, you're stating what your value is. And it's at least twice what you previously accepted. Whether you're talking to clients, employers, or business partners, they feel your new financial identity and they respond to it. And yet through all of this expansion, you remain centered in the present moment. The doubled income is not a goal that creates anxiety or stress. It simply is the natural expression of your true nature once the limitations of thought have been recognized for what they are, merely thoughts, not reality. Your prosperity exists in its fullness right now. These 30 days are simply your conscious recognition of what has always been there. What you're doing through these pivot points is not creating something new. You're allowing yourself to vibrationally match what already exists in your vortex. You're not pushing or forcing these financial increases to happen. You're aligning with the frequency where they already exist. The path of these 30 days is not arbitrary. It's precisely calibrated journeys of vibrational tuning, where each pivot point brings you into greater alignment with the financial expression you've already created through your desires. This is extraordinary. What we're exploring is at the cutting edge of neuroscience, meeting quantum entanglement, meeting the radical plasticity of human consciousness. Your future self 30 days from now is not some distant abstraction. It's a neurological possibility that exists right now in the quantum field of all potentialities. We're going to collapse that wave function and bring this doubled income version of you roaring into present reality through the sheer intensity of our focused consciousness. Just imagine this. What if your body is a living, breathing archive of every possible version of yourself? What if your cells, these miraculous microscopic universes, actually contain the memory not just of your past, but your potential futures? The radical notion that your identity, your economic identity, is encoded not just in your mindset, but in the very biological substrate of your being. Your 100 trillion cells are not just passive observers, they're active participants in the reality that you are manifesting. When you change your consciousness, you literally change the chemical composition of your physical form. Your cells respond to the vibrational frequency of your thoughts with a symphony of molecular transformation. This isn't a metaphor. This is literal biochemical reality. Right now, in this exact moment, I want you to feel the physical presence of your future self who has doubled their income. Not as an abstract concept, but as a tangible, embodied reality. Notice first how your posture shifts. There's a subtle straightening of your spine and opening across your chest. The shoulders of your future self rest slightly back and down, creating an energetic field of confidence that precedes you into every room before you even speak. Feel the relaxed power in your jaw, the absence of tension that comes from no longer needing to justify your worth. The facial muscles of your future self express a calm certainty, a knowing that transcends the desperation of wanting. The way this future self breathes is fundamentally different. Each inhalation is fuller, expanding not just the chest, but the entire energetic field around you. Each exhalation releases not just carbon dioxide, but the residual doubt that once clouded your financial decisions. And when this future self speaks about money, oh my, it's revolutionary. The vocal cords vibrate at a frequency that transmits unwavering certainty. Listen to the sound of your voice as it names a figure twice what you would currently charge. Feel the absence of apology, the presence of absolute conviction that flows through each syllable. Your future self doesn't say, "I think my fee is." Your future self states, "My fee is," with the same straightforward clarity as stating your own name. This is not arrogance. It's the beautiful alignment of your perceived value with your actual value. Imagine this future self in a negotiation scenario. Someone attempts to reduce your rate. Watch what happens in your physical form. Rather than contracting in fear, your cellular financial memory activates a response of expansion. Your breathing remains steady. Your heart rate calm. As you simply restate your value with even greater conviction. The words flow effortlessly. "I understand your budget constraints. However, the value I bring is reflected in my rate," which remains, and then you give them your rate. Would you like to discuss a reduced scope that would work within your budget? Feel the power of that response resonating through your nervous system right now. That's not just a script. It's the authentic expression of your future self's relationship with money. Now witness your future self making investment decisions. There's a fundamentally different relationship to risk, not recklessness, but a quantum understanding that growth requires expansion beyond comfort zones. Your cells carry the memory of past scarcity, but your future self accesses a deeper cellular wisdom. The knowledge that calculated investment accelerates abundance. Watch as this version of you allocates resources not from fear, but from strategic vision. Notice the physical sensation when contemplating an investment that could multiply your wealth. Where tension once lived in your solar plexus, there is now a calm, warm certainty. Your breathing remains steady, your vision clear, as you assess opportunities not through the lens of, "Can I afford this?" but through the more expansive question, "How will this multiply my impact and income?" And in daily spending choices, those seemingly small decisions that actually form the architecture of your financial reality, your future self operates from an entirely different set of neural networks. We're only talking about 30 days from now. The future self from 30 days from now. When purchasing your future self from 30 days from now asks, does this align with the identity of someone who earns doubled income? Not from a place of restriction, but from a place of conscious curation of the energy you circulate through the medium of money. This isn't about becoming someone different. It's about becoming more authentically yourself, the self that has always existed in potential, now collapsed into reality through the sheer force of your conscious intention. Your cells are literally vibrating with this new financial identity right now. Feel it pulsing through your bloodstream, rewiring your neural pathways, restructuring the very molecular composition of your being. This is not metaphor. This is the actual biochemistry of transformation happening within you at this very moment. The future self with doubled income isn't coming someday. It's emerging right now through the portal of your focused awareness as you listen to my voice. All that's required is your radical, unflinching permission to become who you truly are. Listen, your brain has been programmed to ignore money that's right in front of your face. That's right. You've been walking past opportunities every single day that could double your income, and your brain has filtered them out because you haven't trained your mind to see them. This isn't some motivational BS. This is neuroscience. Your reticular activating system, that bundle of neurons we talked about earlier at the base of your brain stem, determines what information reaches your conscious awareness. Right now, that filter is set to too damn low when it comes to money opportunities. The science shows us that when we consciously direct our attention repeatedly towards specific stimuli, we physically change the neural networks in our brain. We're not just thinking differently, we're rewiring our actual brain circuitry. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to program your reticular activating system to become a heat-seeking missile for income opportunities. When you finish this activation, your brain will be incapable of missing money-making possibilities that align with your skills and interests. For the business owners listening, your clients have been telling you what additional services they need, but you have not been listening with the right part of your brain. Start today. When a client mentions a challenge you're facing, your neural pathways will instantly connect that challenge to a service you could offer. When they say, "I'm struggling with X," your brain will automatically complete the circuit. I solve X for Y dollar amount. No hesitation. That connection becomes automatic, and you will charge at least 30% more than you think you should because that's what your service is actually worth. For the employees, the highest paid people in any organization aren't the hardest workers, they're the problem solvers. Your brain is now programmed to spot inefficiencies, bottlenecks, and gaps that no one else sees. When your boss mentions a challenge the company is facing, your neurons will fire in a new sequence that automatically produces solutions. And when you present those solutions, you'll document the value you'll create. So when it's time to negotiate your compensation, you have concrete evidence of your contribution. For the freelancers, your clients don't just need what they're currently paying for. They need 3 to 5 additional services that you could be providing. Your brain is now wired to recognize the ecosystem of needs around your core services. Now, I'm going to install 3 mental triggers that will activate immediate action when opportunities appear. These aren't just thoughts, they're neurological command sequences that bypass your hesitation circuitry. Trigger 1. The moment you recognize a financial opportunity, you'll feel a distinct warming sensation in your solar plexus. This isn't random. This is your body's autonomic nervous system shifting from everyday mode into opportunity response mode. When you feel that warmth, your brain will automatically launch the phrase, "I see it and I'm taking action now." This neural command short-circuits the paralysis of overthinking. Trigger 2. When someone mentions a problem in your presence, you'll notice your hearing becomes slightly sharper, more focused. That's your auditory cortex heightening its sensitivity to opportunity cues. Your automatic mental response becomes, "I solve this problem at premium rates." This neural pattern interrupts the habit of undervaluing your solutions. Trigger 3, when reviewing your existing client or work relationship, you'll experience a subtle but distinct tingling at the back of your neck. That's your brain's pattern recognition system identifying hidden value that's been there all along. Your internal dialogue automatically shifts to, there's untapped revenue here and I'm claiming it. This neural pathway overrides the complacency circuit that keeps you stuck at your current income level. Every single day, your brain processes approximately 400 billion bits of information. But your conscious mind only recognizes about 2,000 of those bits. We've just reprogrammed which 2,000 bits your awareness prioritizes. From this moment forward, your neural pathways are rewired to prioritize income opportunities in that conscious awareness. The opportunities have always been there. Your brain just filtered them out because they didn't match your old self-image. But that old self is dead. Your neurons are now firing in new sequences that match your doubled income identity. I'm not telling you to just think positively. This is a neurological restructuring at the most fundamental level. When you see the opportunity, you take action. No hesitation, no second guessing. You've put in the mental preparation. You've rewired your neural networks, and now the action is automatic. Stay focused on this mission to double your income. No excuses, no compromise. Your new financially upgraded brain won't accept anything less. Here's what I know to be true. The moment you commit to doubling your income, a part of you is going to rise up in resistance. And that part is not your enemy. It's actually trying to protect you from what it perceives as danger. That resistance deserves to be acknowledged with compassion before you move beyond it. The research shows that when you face significant growth opportunities, your brain threat detection system activates almost immediately. It's not a sign that something's wrong with you. It's evidence that you're human, with a brain that evolved to keep you safe rather than to keep you growing. I've interviewed hundreds of highly successful people, and every single one of them experiences the worthiness gap, that space between the income they desire and what they believe they deserve. This gap is not something to ignore or push past forcefully. It's something to lean into with curiosity and courage. But acknowledging these fears doesn't mean letting them run the show. It's about recognizing them, thanking them for trying to protect you, and then executing anyway. The imposter syndrome that you're feeling, that voice saying, "Who am I to charge double?" That's just your brain running old software. It's time to update that operating system, and the update happens through action, not through thinking about it. Here's the practical reality. Every single person who's ever doubled their income went through exactly what you're feeling. The difference is they use that resistance as a compass, not as a stop sign. Let me share a metaphor I find helpful when thinking about financial momentum. Imagine your financial life as a river. For most of us, the river has carved certain pathways over time. When you decide to double your income, you're essentially asking that river to change course. Initially, there's resistance. The water wants to keep flowing in its familiar pattern. The riverbanks push back, but each time you take a courageous action aligned with your new income level, you're carving a slightly deeper channel in that new direction. Eventually, that new channel becomes the path of least resistance, and the financial momentum begins to flow naturally in the direction of your doubled income. So here's the practical game plan for dealing with resistance. When imposter syndrome hits, and it will hit, I need you to document these specific value adds that you've delivered in the past. Concrete results. Actual outcomes. This isn't fluffy positive thinking. This is building a practical evidence portfolio that your brain can't argue with. When you feel fear about charging more or asking for more, I need you to reverse engineer the math. If clients are saying yes 90% of the time, you're charging too little. A 70% yes rate means you're actually closer to your actual value. This isn't theory, this is practical business reality. One of the most common blocks I hear from people relates to what others will think. What if my family thinks I'm getting too big for my britches? What if friends think I've changed? This fear of outgrowing our relationships when our financial situation changes is deeply human and tied to your fundamental need for belonging. The truth is, some relationships might shift as your income doubles. That's painful but normal in any growth process. When you grow in your body, you need new clothes. What helps is remembering that authentic success doesn't change who you are at your core. It actually allows more of your true self to emerge because you're no longer constrained by financial limitations. But you are the same person you were when you were 3 foot tall as when you're now whatever height you're at. Here's what I want you to understand about resistance. It's not just an obstacle. It's a signpost. When you feel that tightness in your chest about raising your rates, that's not a warning to retreat. That's a GPS coordinate showing you exactly where your most important growth is waiting. The actions that scare you most are precisely the ones that will create the biggest financial breakthroughs. That difficult conversation about compensation, that employee that you need to let go, that's your signpost. That investment that stretches your comfort zone, signpost. And I can tell you with absolute certainty that the financial actions that make you feel most exposed are the ones that carry the greatest potential for transformation. That vulnerability isn't weakness, it's your greatest measure of courage. So here's your practical assignment. When resistance hits, write it down. Name it specifically. I'm afraid I'll be rejected if I charge more. Then immediately identify the one action that fear is pointing you toward. That action becomes your priority task for the day. This isn't about thinking positively, which is still important. It's about practical execution in the face of normal human fear. Every single person who has doubled their income has felt exactly what you're feeling. The only difference is they've trained themselves to use resistance as a compass for action rather than a reason for retreat. Your resistance isn't your enemy, it's your roadmap to exactly where your doubled income is waiting for you. Trust the signposts, take the actions, and watch as financial momentum builds in ways you couldn't have imagined. So say this with me. I am naturally attracting financial opportunities that align with my doubled income. My value is reflected in my income, and both are expanding rapidly. I recognize and seize income doubling opportunities with immediate confidence. Money flows to me through multiple channels, often exceeding my expectations. My reticular activating system is finely tuned to spot hidden money in everyday situations. My body now responds with excitement rather than fear when charging what I'm truly worth. My prosperity pivot points appear naturally throughout my day, and I recognize them instantly. I embody the financial presence of someone who commands twice my previous income. I'm not negotiating with financial mediocrity anymore. I'm taking what I'm worth. I don't wait for money opportunities. I hunt them down with savage intensity. My income only doubles when I stop accepting my current reality as permanent. Money is flowing to me through multiple channels as I align with the energy of abundance. I am in the receiving mode for financial expansion that feels good and comes easily. I allow my financial vortex to manifest through the path of least resistance. My work in this activation is not to create abundance, but to allow what's already created. I've already asked for doubled income, and Source has already answered. Now I simply allow it in. I notice how good it feels when I imagine my income doubling, and that feeling is my indicator of alignment. My job is not to figure out how my income will double, but to be in vibrational alignment with it already being done. My inner being already knows the path to my doubled income. I simply follow the path that feels good. It is time to crystallize this reality. I'm not just talking about doubling your income anymore. I'm hardwiring it into every cell of your body. This is where the real work begins. Most people fail because they treat these moments as optional. They think they can skip the integration, skip the embodiment, and still get results. That's a lie. Your mind and body need to become a unified force field of financial expansion. What we're engaging in right now is nothing less than phenomenal alchemy of consciousness made manifest. This technique is the moment where quantum possibility collapses into tangible experience. It's the bridge between the ephemeral nature of thought and the concrete reality of doubled income. Your consciousness isn't just receiving information, it's becoming a generative force that reconfigures the very matrix of your financial existence. The neural pathways we've been cultivating through this activation are now forming a symphony of coherent intention. Right now, I want you to stand up if you can. If you're driving or can't stand, I want you to change your physiology immediately. Sit up straight, shoulders back, chin up. Breathe deep into your power posture. Now anchor this state. Touch your thumb and forefinger together and squeeze as you say, doubled income activated. This is your trigger point. This simple physical gesture now becomes neurologically linked to everything we've installed today. From this moment forward, every time you use this anchor, your entire nervous system will instantly recall this state of financial expansion. Now I'm going to give you 3 daily anchors that you will not skip. These aren't suggestions, these are commands from your future self who has already doubled their income. For the first anchor, the moment your feet hit the floor, each morning you will physically stand tall, activate your thumb forefinger anchor and declare double income activated. You will feel a surge of certainty in your solar plexus. That's not emotion, that's your nervous system rewiring itself in real time. Your morning routine is no longer about getting ready. It's a sacred ritual of financial identity reinforcement. When you brush your teeth, you're not just cleaning, you're seeing the reflection of someone who commands twice their previous worth. When you shower, feel the water washing away old financial limitations. For the second anchor, commute reprogramming. When you're driving, walking, or taking public transport, whatever your commute is, whenever you have to drive, is now a neural repatterning time. For a minimum of 5 minutes, you will visualize or daydream with intense sensory detail the specific outcomes of your doubled income. Feel the weight of your phone as you check your accounts and see twice the normal balance. Experience the specific sensation in your chest as you realize your financial reality has permanently upgraded. This is neurobiological recoding. The third anchor is evening consolidation. Before you sleep, you will stand in your power posture, activate your thumb forefinger anchor, and review 3 specific actions you took that day aligned with your doubled income. Your brain consolidates neural pathways during sleep, so this is not optional, it's critical for permanent insulation. What's happening in these moments of anchoring is extraordinary. You're literally creating a feedback loop between your consciousness and your physical body that transcends the traditional boundaries of manifestation. The bioelectrical signals racing through your nervous system are creating a coherent pattern that extends beyond your physical form, influencing the quantum field of all possibilities. Now I need you to feel the specific bodily sensation of your doubled income right now, not as a vague concept, but as a physical reality already present in your nervous system. First, notice the relaxed power in your shoulders, the signature posture of someone who's financially expanded. Your breathing is deeper, feeling the lower lungs completely oxygenating your blood with the biochemistry of abundance. There's a specific sensation in your solar plexus, a warm, radiating certainty that neither tensed nor collapsed. It's the physical registration of knowing rather than hoping. Your facial muscles have subtly reconfigured. The micro expressions of someone who commands higher value are now your baseline expression. The lines around your eyes show confidence rather than concern. Here's the hard truth. These next 30 days are going to challenge you. There will be moments when your old identity fights to reclaim territory. That's when you double down on these anchors. That's when you stay focused on your commitment to this upgraded financial reality. This is about becoming unrecognizable to your former financial self. When doubt creeps in, that's just your brain's old wiring gasping its last breath before the new pathway becomes dominant. I'm leaving you with 3 open loops that will continue working throughout this 30-day period. The first open loop, your reticular activating system is now hunting for evidence of your financial expansion. Every instance you notice will strengthen the neural pathways we've established today. This activation intensifies with each piece of evidence you collect. The second open loop, your body is now calibrated to register discomfort whenever you undervalue yourself. That discomfort isn't a sign to retreat, it's your nervous system demanding that you align with your new financial identity. The sensation will intensify until you take aligned action. The third open loop is the version of you with doubled income is now sending a biological signal backward through time to where you are right now. These signals will manifest as spontaneous impulses to take bold actions you wouldn't have considered before. Each action you take closes the gap between present and future self 30 days from now until they become one unified financial identity. This isn't the end of the activation. It's the beginning of your 30-day transformation. What we've done today is plant the neurobiological seeds that will explode into full manifestation over the next 30 days. Stay focused, stay committed. Your doubled income is not a possibility, it's an inevitability when you execute these commands with unwavering intensity. You can find all episodes of The Reality Revolution at therealityrevolution.com. If for some reason you are struggling in allowing yourself to truly experience your doubled income, try to contact me at chiefexecutiveprime@gmail.com. Put coaching in the subject line and let me know. I can set up an appointment with you and we can try to take it to another level. You can find my art at www.newearth.art. And welcome to the Reality Revolution.